Hi, everyone. Sorry, I just tried to do something to my hair and it didn't quite work out. For those of you who don't know, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have what I like to call swamp weather for a number of months out of the year. So I'm going to wait for some people to come on. If you're watching the replay, you can fast forward it a couple minutes here, but I'm just going to wait if you're on. I do see comments coming in on the other side. Watching from Florida, enjoying some sweetbread. That's amazing. So sweetbread is thymus. I actually had thymus today too, Michelle Elizabeth. What's up, you guys? Okay, I see people commenting, coming on. So in this video, I'm going to do a little housekeeping first, and then I'm going to jump into the topic. Housekeeping, I'm still working on the amount of ads that come onto these live videos. I did do that interview with Dr. Ken Barry on Monday. And so he's helping me to try to get some of the ads, because YouTube just on live videos, they automatically place a ton of ads on there. So a workaround for that, you guys, I've heard you can get some plugins through Chrome to block ads. But if you do that, just share the video other places if you don't mind. Okay, I see you guys. I've got South Africa, I've got Norway, UK, California, New Jersey, Southeast Georgia. Yeah, I'm sure. So this is funny, I'm gonna highlight this one. If you think the swamp weather is bad up there, come visit here. Yeah, I'm sure. Trust me, I know. So yeah, it's hot right now. It's summer, it's hot. So that's my housekeeping right now with the ads, because I get a lot of comments on that. So you can get a pop-up blocker while I try to figure this problem out. But just make sure you share the video so it still get views. All right, so I'm going to talk about some data trackers that I have used doing carnivore that have been really helpful for me. I had a Fitbit for the longest time that I would use to kind of check in with myself. I think I still had a Fitbit when I started carnivore. So I'll talk about the difference between using a Fitbit and an Oura Ring. I'm going to talk about the Oura Ring first. I'll talk about pros and cons. So I'm going to talk about a few different things. The Oura Ring, I'm going to talk about the continuous glucose monitor that I have used. I'm even going to show it to you guys. I brought one in here. And then I'm going to talk about the at-home blood testing I use. Let's Get Checked. And I've linked everything below the video if you're like, what is she talking about? So I'm going to talk about all of those things, like pros and cons. And then if you guys have questions regarding that stuff, we can talk about it. I try to glance at comments while I talk. So people watching the replay are like, is she on drugs or something? No, I'm always kind of glancing over to see what people are saying as I'm talking. So sometimes I do lose my train of thought with that. But I do also want to put out there that you don't need any kind of trackers to do carnivore or keto or anything like that. Honestly, you don't necessarily need trackers, but I have found them to be really helpful because I don't weigh myself. Because that becomes too much of an obsession, which I'll talk about with all of this stuff also, because this stuff can also become a little too obsessive as well. But, I think that you can do these ways of eating without tracking anything and really going on how you feel. Go symptoms. Hey, Becky, I see Becky coming on. Welcome, welcome. So I do want to reiterate that before I start even talking about this stuff, because I think sometimes you watch people talking about trackers and data and all this stuff and you're like, oh my God, I got to get that. I have to have it. It's necessary. And it's not necessary. But for me, I love feedback. And like I said, I don't use a scale. I like the feedback of how my clothes fit. I like to know the intricacies of my sleep and recovery and all that stuff. So I do want to throw that out there. And another disclaimer, I'm not affiliated with Oura in any way at all, but I am affiliated with the continuous glucose monitor that I have linked below, as well as Let's Get Checked. I'm an affiliate with them. They sponsor me. So I will make a small commission on whatever you get, but it's of no cost to you. So if you go on the website and get the stuff and without using my links and stuff, then you're still going to pay the same thing. So I just like to be totally transparent about those types of things. So yeah. Let's talk about the Oura Ring first. So the Oura Ring is this guy right here. I put on my middle finger. And I put the link for the website below. Now, it's not really something I would use if you're trying to like track your like, you know, how many calories you're burning in a day. If you're looking at that data, kind of like I see people flash up pictures of their Apple Watch data of like, I burned 799 calories in 1 hour, right? Like this is not really that. Like it will, I'll show you. I'm going to open up the Oura Ring app on my phone and show you guys a little bit about what it looks like your activity tracking for the day. Okay. So this, what it does is it shows your activity, it gives you a score every day. Up here is my activity for like the last week or so that I can kind of go back and kind of scroll. You can see my activity. So this is the activity, and this is what it will show you. It will give you your score, and it will tell you how much you're moving. I did a little workout this morning. So the white is my heart rate was up a little bit higher. My activity was higher. It tells you how many steps you've done. So that's the kind of tracking information that it gives you with your activity, with your movement. So I like having that information, but with the Fitbit, I was like a little OCD. What's up? We got Sherwin in the house. Oh, Becky's in here. Shervin, he just did a great video about continuous glucose monitors that I saw you guys on his YouTube channel. So check him out. And I think he has a video reviewing the Oura Ring as well. So if you're looking for like a heart rate monitor, the Oura Ring is not it. You want to, you get a chest strap if you really want to know your heart rate, if you're really into that data while you're working out. But I'm not super focused on, hitting certain heart rate or staying in certain zones. I'm just doing my, time under tension workouts and my walking outside. So what I love the Oura Ring for, though, is to keep track of your heart rate variability. So your recovery rate, your recovery index. That is what I find extremely valuable, because there are some days when I'm like, and so what they do on the Oura Ring is it's called your readiness. So I'll show you the readiness. I got an 86 this morning. My readiness is really good right now. But you can see if I scroll back, I've had you can see where the blue is at the low and the white is at the high. That's a night I had difficulty sleeping, or my heart rate, maybe I slept okay, but my heart rate, your resting heart rate happens at night. And it's like the lowest that your heart gets to. And if your heart rate drops way too late in the night, like your heart rate doesn't get to its lowest point until like 5 a.m., then your readiness score, which is your recovery rate of your body, how able you were able to rest and restore in the night, then you'll get a lower score. Now, I actually, so there's several days like this in my Oura Ring where I took it off, because during the very beginning of quarantine, actually this wasn't even beginning, this was like a month in, here's my readiness scores. Not so good. So just like with all of these trackers, you guys, I take it off sometimes because it starts messing with my head. And this is like beginning of quarantine, April. I was very stressed out. My cortisol was very high. It didn't seem to matter what I did. My readiness score was crap. My sleep was, I was getting like no deep sleep. And I always get great deep sleep, but it'll tell you how much, see, this is an old one. Sorry, that light is like glaring. There we go. It'll tell you how much deep sleep that you're getting, right? Deep sleep is the one you really want to get. So that's really helpful. So I think the Oura Ring is more helpful for like knowing your recovery rate, checking in with your resting heart rate, and seeing how well your body is recovering. So I definitely would recommend that if you're wanting to know those specific trends. And if you're like, how hard can I actually push my body today? If fasting is a thing for you, which it's definitely not for me. After looking at heart rate variability, I have a really hard time recovering if I try to do a fast. So that's another way to say, like, is fasting necessarily a good thing for me? So that's Oura Ring, and y'all can chime in. I'm next going to talk about the continuous glucose monitor, because I see a lot of questions about that. So if y'all have questions about the Oura Ring, anything, feel free to pop it in the chat. If you're watching replay, you can put your comment. I read all my comments. I really do. I don't respond to every single one of the comments that I get, but I do read like all the comments, which could be another reason why I have trouble managing my stress. So continuous glucose monitor. This is from Nutricent. I've been using Nutricent since I think November of last year. I know Becky, who's on here, she did a trial with Nutricent. I know Shervin, I popped him on here. He did a trial with Nutricent. So they're great. Kara with Nutricent is the nutritionist too. And it comes with an app. I'll show you guys the app before I show you guys the actual device first. So when you work with Nutricent, you can do a 2-week, you can do a month long, you can do 3 months long. So you can choose, you know, how long you want to do this for. Let me find the Nutricent app. Oh, I haven't updated it. They update it all the time, so I can't show you guys the app. But I'm sure if you go on someone else's channel, and if you look some of my old videos, you can see the app, and it shows you the graph of your blood sugar. And I love, this is what I love about the continuous glucose monitor, is that you get immediate feedback, right? So Becky here, she says, I love my short trial of the CGM. I know she did some really good Instagram posts with that. So the continuous glucose monitor, the difference between that and something like this, which I also linked one of these guys below, the continuous, I just threw my Lancet on the floor. I'm a spaz. This is a Keto Mojo. Okay. So I did link that guy below. And so with the Keto Mojo, yeah, you can test your glucose and you test your ketones too, which are also, I think, important. But you have to wake up to do it, right? So what I discovered with a continuous glucose monitor, which actually made me quit doing all fasting and made me quit eating as much protein, I changed my macros because my blood glucose was shooting up over in the hundreds at night while I was sleeping, right? And I had eaten my last meal at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So that shouldn't be happening. You want your glucose to be nice and steady through the night. So what I think that it can be really helpful for people is to have the data of like, okay, this guy, I mean, why is my glucose shooting up in the night, right? Or why is it dipping down in the night? Or if I eat something that, you know, maybe is like a, sorry, I was reading a comment. So if I eat something that I have a sensitivity to, I will see my numbers go up by like 20 points, right? So you can get that immediate feedback instead of with a Keto Mojo, you have to prick your finger 100 times. So this is a good question. So Keto Mojo versus Nutricent, have you noticed data inconsistency between the two? Yes. So this is like my 5th or 6th CGM. And I have, every time I get these guys, you know, you got to put it on, you let it calibrate. And then after it's calibrated, you know, you've tested it, it's like, it's good. I will test myself with my Keto Mojo. There's usually a little bit of a difference because, you know, you talk to Kara, who's the nutritionist she's actually runs Nutricent, but she's inside the app. You can ask her questions when you get one of these monitors, as you will have questions. She says there's like a 15-point margin of error with all of these devices, but I've had the same Keto Mojo for, you know, a couple years now. And, I do find that there's a little inconsistency, but it's not huge. And so with the continuous glucose monitor, I think it's more important to pay attention to trends, right? So, you know, just the fact that I was having up into the hundreds with my blood glucose, okay, well, if you're looking at that margin of error, it could have been in the 80s, but it wasn't. It was my blood glucose during the day was at a certain place, and then I was having a 30 to 40 point jump in my sleep. So the trends are what you really want to pay attention to, is like, I eat something, I have a spike, or I'm sleeping and I have a 30, 40 point jump. So that's what I find valuable about the continuous glucose monitor. Number one, you don't have to like prick your finger constantly. And then number two, you can pay attention to like, I ate something or I exercised a certain way, or stress. So that's the other reason why now I've had this monitor, you guys, since April. I ordered it in April because I wanted to do it. So it comes like this, right? This is the applicator right here. Okay. And this is the actual monitor here. So you peel this top part. I'm not going to put it on today. I have another video where I put it on. But you peel this top part off. You pop this guy in here, and then you take the applicator, pop it on the back of your tricep. They also give you some alcohol swabs in here so you can clean your arm off. I do recommend washing your hands first. And then there's a bandage to go on top of it. I'm looking at, so here's a good question, Sherry. Do you have to scan it all the time to get the data, or does it just keep track each hour at night? It keeps track. It's Bluetooth. So you are installing a Bluetooth device on your body. So some people would say that's not necessarily a great thing to do, but I think I don't think it's that big of a deal as people make it. It's just not something you want to do constantly, but it is Bluetooth. So it hooks up to your phone and it takes the data automatically. So you can just check it in the morning. You're like, oh, I had a good night of sleep. Blood sugar stayed stable through the night. Let's see. Yeah. And so Becky also had the exact same experience with me. Yeah. When she was doing like lean proteins, like a higher protein amount on the carnivore diet, because Becky is also carnivore diet. She has a YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out. Then she had the same thing. And I'm seeing this a lot more and more with people doing carnivore diet or even keto diet that are, you know, kind of drinking the Kool-Aid about it's okay to eat super high protein, because for some people, I think it can be. But this is the value of having a CGM, of testing yourself, because you can go on YouTube, you can go on Instagram, and people are going to literally talk all day and night about how great high protein is and how great fasting is and how great this, that, and the other is. So awesome, awesome, awesome. But then you do it and feel like complete doo-doo. Try not to curse today. I'm trying. But you know, that's why I started testing, because I was like, man, everyone's doing so great. Everyone's like kicking ass and taking names on carnivore, eating like 2 pounds of meat per day and doing fasting. And I feel like crap. What's wrong with me? So it was very, very validating to get this data from Nutricent, from the continuous glucose monitor, to be like, okay, this is not working for me. Clearly, I have the feedback right here in my phone to say this is not working for me. So this is the value, I think, you guys, of tracking. Now, on the flip side, like I said, I've had this thing since April and I have not put it on. Why? Why is that? Okay, so you just saw it, unless you just came on, I showed you my recovery index. Let me just show you that again. From back in when I got this, which was like April, my recovery index was in the toilet, right? So the white guy is way over the blue. My sleep was bad. My resting heart rate was all over the place. I mean, some days it was 70, which is high for me. Now, my average resting heart rate is in the high 50s, low 60s. That's since switching to high fat carnivore. When I was doing high protein carnivore and doing a ton of fasting, my resting heart rate was in the 40s, which I did a whole separate video about that. And none of this, you guys, is medical advice, but it's not optimal to have a resting heart rate in the 40s. It's just not optimal for most people, unless you're a super endurance athlete, not a mom / yoga teacher / YouTuber. You got to look at that. So yeah, I'm looking at this data. This is crazy to me, because my resting heart rate now, so you can see, I'm jumping back to Oura. You guys can see I don't know if you can see that or not. My resting heart rate was like 70. And now it's trending like it's in the 50s. Like here we are, 56. I don't know if you can see that or not. But, you know, I'm still not having a readiness score back in the 90s like I did before all this insanity kind of started. But it shows that I'm healing. I'm doing better. I'm back on track. But going back to what my original point, why I haven't put the CGM on yet, is because stress, and because of that, those crazy resting heart rates. When I had a continuous glucose monitor on, I happened to have put it on at the very beginning of quarantine, thinking this is no big deal, it's fine. I didn't take into account like the amount of stress that was about to hit me. I had a bunch of stuff happen in my whole basement. We had a pipe that exploded in my basement week 1 of quarantine. Pipe explodes in the basement. My daughter is like having all these crazy violent behaviors. I was losing my mind, and my blood glucose was like in the hundreds. And it was on the same thing on the Keto Mojo, it was trending like 30 points higher. It would go down in my sleep because I had already at that point switched to doing a high fat carnivore diet. So I was at least getting the data and the feedback that at night, my blood glucose was at a stable place. Like, so it was trending, high 70s, 80s in my sleep. So I was like, okay, great. But during the day, as soon as I would wake up, and be around my family in this crazy quarantine situation, my blood glucose would be like, bang, like up 110, 120. And that was after I had eaten like just meat and fat, like no sugar, no carbs. I wasn't cheating. That was just meat and fat. So that's why I haven't put this guy back on yet, because like with all these trackers, the big con is that you can obsess over the data and it can skew it even worse, especially if you're tracking your heart rate and your blood glucose. Stress will cause that blood glucose to spike. Let me look at some of these questions, and then I'm going to get into the let's get checked. Okay, this is good. I've lowered my protein to 60 grams a day and increased my fat to 150 to 200. I still can't seem to control my blood sugar some days. Can you shed some light as to why this is happening? So, I mean, this is so many different reasons, you guys, that why you may not be keto adapting or getting that stable blood sugar. There's just so many reasons. Number one, stress. It's a really stressful time right now. Number two, and I just did a video with my friend / partner, Stephanie, about electrolytes and dehydration. And this is a big problem with carnivore keto. I had a big electrolyte imbalance going into switching over to high fat, lower protein. So it took me longer to adapt because I really had to fine tune those electrolytes. And I don't mean just like throwing keto chow in your drink. Like, no, I have capsules I take in the morning, capsules I take in the evening. I haven't gone into specifics, but I also drink meat broth with red mints in it. I have, a couple, make sure I get at least 2 teaspoons of salt per day. I don't like to give specific amounts because your age, your body weight, your activity level, your previous hormonal damage, your gut health. If your gut is not healed, you can't hold minerals. Like, so I don't give specific amounts, just like I don't do what I eat in a day videos on this channel, really, because our bodies are all so different. And what I don't want is for someone to like copy exactly what I'm doing and then be like, I feel like crap, right? Because how I got into this whole thing was like fasting and doing high protein and feeling like crap because I was copying all these people. So yeah, I'm looking at some of these questions. Yeah, and sometimes it just takes time for you to adapt, I don't know. Let's see if you said how long. Yeah, because I don't know, Christina, and your question, how long you've been doing this. It can take a little while. I'm 6 months in now, and things are really starting to stabilize. And so Christina, she says, I just started doing this as per Stephanie's. So Stephanie, you guys, if you don't know, I linked her below. It says my coach, and it's got her website. She has she does consultations. She has a $15 a month keto group. We're doing a challenge in August. I'm working on it right now so we can get it out there and announce to you guys. And Becky, I'm going to still ask for your help on that if you want to give it. But we're going to be doing a challenge in August that is not about a quick fix. It's about getting yourself on track so that the changes that you make give you long-term results. So some of the stuff that I'm doing, I haven't gotten immediate like change, and wow, it's amazing. It took me a little time to adapt to get my blood glucose, my blood sugars regulated. It took some outside of the box stuff that, like eating 3 meals a day, no more fasting, drinking meat broth with ghee in it. So it's, it takes time. So, and it takes consistency. And someone wants to know how many teaspoons of salt do I use per day? I mean, I use around 2, but sometimes more. I live in a freaking swamp right now. It's so nasty here. And so some days if I'm outside a lot, I have to go up on that. So that's how much salt I use. All right, let me talk a little bit about these guys. Let's Get Checked, another company that I work with. And I have linked a bunch of tests below the live stream so you guys can kind of see different tests. And now that's not a full list of what they offer. And you can use my discount code. It's Yogi20 for 20% off any of these tests. And I've used Let's Get Checked for a variety of things. I've talked at length about kidney function and carnivore diet and keto and how a lot of people get chronically dehydrated. And chronic dehydration will cause kidney damage over time. So checking your kidney function, checking your GFR, I do that. I still do it, even though I probably don't need to keep checking it because I've got my electrolytes in a good place, but I keep on checking it. I also keep track of like my thyroid because my T3 was a bit low when I tested it in January when I was doing a ton of fasting and again, doing that real high protein carnivore. I was getting a lot of blood sugar spiking. So I do the thyroid test just to keep track of that, to make sure my T3 is not low, because that will influence your body's ability to lose fat, to burn calories. It's going to influence your metabolism. Again, you guys, this is not medical advice. This is me just like telling you what I'm doing. It's my blog, my vlog. Other tests that I listed underneath there, you can do your A1C. I think that's a really important one if you're doing a low carb, because some people, again, if they're eating too much protein or even too many carbs, if you're trying to do low carb, you really want to know if your A1C, where it's at, right? Because some people I was on carnivore and my A1C was going up. I was like, that's not supposed to be happening. So that's another reason why I switched to that higher fat way of doing carnivore. And so the thing about Let's Get Checked, what they will do, and sex hormones. So men, testosterone is going to be, so women, we have this like monthly cycle that is a little check-in to see, are things working okay? Are we doing all right? Right? If we don't get that monthly cycle, something's up with the hormones. Men don't have a monthly cycle to check in. So I put the testosterone test under there because I do have male friends that have done carnivore or start doing a lot of fasting, and their testosterone goes way down. So yeah, that is another thing that you guys want to check in with. So those are the Let's Get Checked tests. I linked them below the video if that's something that you want to do. I do think it's important to check in with those specific numbers just to make sure you're on the right track. If I hadn't done the blood test to check my kidney function, I would have had no idea. My GFR was like 60, which is not kidney damage or failure, but it just means that I'm probably very chronically dehydrated. So I really didn't even know. So for me, they just kind of put your mind at ease. You can test your CRP, which is your level of inflammation in your body. I'm rerunning my cholesterol right now, which I don't think is that important for carnivore, but just people want to know. And I kind of want to know if my numbers have changed since going to super high fat carnivore. So I like running these experiments on myself. And a nurse will call you if your result is off. So if you have a super high value for something or super low value, a nurse will actually call you and talk with you before they put the results into your portal. So I like that a lot. In some cases, they'll actually prescribe medicine to you. One question that I had about Let's Get Checked from someone was, how does it compare to your regular blood test? So a couple things about that. I had just gotten a bunch of blood work done when Let's Get Checked originally reached out to me in, it was like January, February. And so what I did was like, all right, let me run some of your tests to see how it compares to the lab values that I just got at my doctor's office to see if this is legit. And it was all, very similar to what I had just gotten done at my doctor's office very, recently. And my husband also works in the lab business. He doesn't work with this company. He works for a separate lab out of Texas. And so I kind of had him check out their certifications, make sure they were legit. It wasn't just some, internet scam. So that's my review of them. The drawback right now with Let's Get Checked is going to be, and this is lab business across the board. My husband's in the lab business, and they're having a very slow response time because of the thing we got going on. I don't like to mention it because the YouTube bots will come at you. But that's slowing down response time for everybody. So he doesn't work for one of the big name labs that you guys would know, like Quest and LabCorp. He works for a smaller lab that's out of Texas. But he was talking with the doctor's office this week, and they were like, yeah, we actually are going to send all of our lab work to you right now because Quest and LabCorp are both so overburdened and so far behind. My husband's lab, the lab he works for, has a little bit of a quicker response time. But they're still running about 5 days behind. So Let's Get Checked is also running a little bit behind. It's not severe, but I like to be transparent about that type of thing. If that's something you want to get done, all the labs are just really overburdened right now. So that is a Let's Get Checked, and I'm looking to see if there are any, yeah, someone said, I was worried Let's Get Checked was a scam too. Yeah, I mean, I was when they called me, I was like, you know what, send me a voucher and I will order some tests and then let's talk again. So again, yeah, I ordered the test and then I had my husband look into their certifications because he was like, are they CLIO certified? And I'm like, I don't know. So, my husband's been in the lab business for over 12 years now. Welcome, Carnivorous Beast. It's okay for being late. You can watch the replay. Okay, so the other little testing mechanism that I have used, and this is more for women than men, is this. And I linked one below. It's an ovulation test kit because here's the thing. Now, I mentioned a little bit before that your oh, awesome. So good job, Shervin. Yes, let me know how it goes. I'll look on your YouTube channel to see how everything's going to give a review. So yes, the ovulation test kit. So I was mentioning, women and men, here's the difference. Men, your testosterone is going to be that first thing that's going to tank. That's why the testosterone is a good thing to check. And then women, your sex hormones are going to go. You're going to have issues with sex hormones. But for me, I didn't start. I'm 41. You guys, I turned 41 like a month ago, which is crazy. But I didn't start having problems with like actually missing cycles until I was in my late 30s. I was like 39 when it first started. I was like every 28 days, except for the time when I was vegan. 2 years vegan. Didn't really get cycles during that time. Didn't think it was a problem. Actually thought it was like kind of fun, but this is not a good thing if you're missing your cycle. But once I started eating meat again and eggs and stuff, even though I was eating other crap food, I still got my cycle. So I didn't start because I hear people that are in their 20s and even in their 30s, like, early 30s. Well, I haven't missed any periods, but here's the thing. Are you ovulating? Because I guarantee you for a long time I was not ovulating. Because when I first started getting my cycle back, I wasn't ovulating because I was doing the test because Steph kind of clued me into that. So I linked one of these guys below. You want to know if you are still ovulating, and you should be, right? Unless your ovarian reserve is low, which there's an ovarian reserve test from Let's Get Checked below. But that's just another little thing that I keep track of because your hormonal health is going to be your overall health. You guys, that's like what I think we put so much emphasis on weight loss, which I don't go on the scale. I go by how I feel, how my clothes fit, and then I use Oura Ring to see my recovery index. I can use the CGM to check in with, my blood glucose to see if my blood sugar is stabilized. Balanced blood sugar, stable blood sugar is a very big indicator of your health, right? And then the blood test with Let's Get Checked. So if I really want to dig deep and see, okay, I'm super low on progesterone. My T3 is low, right? When I was doing all that fasting, my T3 went into the toilet. So those are important things, you guys, because we put so much emphasis on the aesthetic and how we look and numbers on the scale. I mean, I can go through my phone and show you endless photos of me, photo shoots I did when I was vegan. I was really thin. Some people look at those pictures and like, you were too thin, you had no muscle, but I thought I looked fabulous, you know, because we have this whole thin ideal that we put out there that skinnier is better. You know, be as small as possible, shrink yourself down as little as possible. So I feel like we fall into that trap too much of, you know, that is the most important thing and not enough on, you know, our overall health. Yes. So Becky says the scale lies to us. It does. And it's not, I mean, it's just not, it's not accurate. So yeah. All right, guys, do you have, questions? I've been on for 35 minutes. I'll stay on a little bit longer. So any questions that you guys have, feel free to pop them in the chat. And I'm going to, while you guys are sending up questions, I'm going to see if I missed anything. These are my notes. I always try to write notes before I do a live stream so I don't miss important thoughts. I always miss stuff though, just a little secret there. Let's see. Oh, the other cool thing about Oura is that you can kind of optimize your foods that you eat. So I found that if I eat a bunch of steak at night, I just don't sleep as well. But if I have the steak for lunch and maybe do like a lighter dinner, then my sleep is better. And this is good. I'm trying to be patient with my body, even though some days are hard. And yeah, Nia, I'm totally with you on this. And, you know, when you do switch things up, for me, when I quit fasting and I switched my macros, I gained weight. I've talked about that. I've been very vocal about that. I did gain weight. And that's what my body needed to do to heal. And first for my metabolism to heal, because my metabolism was broken. It was in the toilet. So you do sometimes have to gain weight and you have to be really patient. This is the mistake I've made, is like, okay, I gained some weight. I'm going to go back to restricting again. I'm going to go back to like, you know, trying to eat as little as possible and not kill my family at the same time. So it just takes patience. I'm 6 months into this. The scale has started trending downwards, like slow as hell, but it is going down. And, you know, my recovery index is improving. I'm feeling better. My sleep is a million times better. I'm finally getting good deep sleep again. I was averaging less than an hour of deep sleep for a while because I think my cortisol was so incredibly high that I just wasn't getting that restorative sleep. So yes. Someone wants to know, do you still take potassium? Yes, I do. I take potassium citrate twice a day. And then Michelle says, let us in on a health date. How are you feeling? Any big takeaways since you last shared? Yeah, and I was kind of getting into that a little bit. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm doing a lot better. You know, I'm just continuing to manage my stress. Like I said, I would love for the scale to just like, and like, I don't even weigh myself, so I don't even know how much I weigh, but I would like to be in my, you know, clothes that I was in pre-quarantine. My pants that are my favorite joggers are still not comfortable. Like I can get them on, but you know, when you have a pair of joggers, like you want them to be loose and roomy. No, they're like leggings. They're not like leggings, but they're not like joggers, right? So my hormones are great. My cycles are great. I just finished a cycle. That was my 5th month in a row of getting my cycle on time. And it was only 5 days long. They've gone from 7 days down to 5 days. They're not painful. I'm not having cramps. So I'm feeling really good. I don't get insatiably hungry. I was having insatiable hunger when I first started this and just eating a lot of fat, which is why I probably gained weight, because I was hungry and I was malnourished. So a lot of things have really stabilized out. Yes, so I'm really good. I hope that's good enough update. Let me see. Do I need a doctor's prescription to get a CGM? Not this one. Now, if you can go to your doctor and get a prescription for a CGM, it's going to be more cost effective for you. But a lot of people, unless you have diabetes, they're not going to give you one. So this is kind of a workaround for that. Here we go. When you switch to high fat, did it help with your motility? I have motility issues and hoping that higher fat would help. Well, I haven't had any motility issues at all. I've been very blessed. What happened when I went to higher fat is that I had to take stomach or the HCL. to increase my stomach acid because I had kind of loose stools for about 6 weeks, and it wasn't like extreme diarrhea, or I probably would have been like, nope. It was just like, oh, okay, there it is. And it wasn't painful or bad or anything, but I did have to increase my stomach acid after 6 weeks of taking the HCl. I didn't have to take it anymore, and I've been great. So I never had a problem with that though. I've been regular the whole time I've been carnivore, which I know is like not, it's atypical for some people, but it's been great. Let's see, I've been carnivore for 3 months now, and I notice that sometimes, not every time, I get really tired after I eat a meal. Why, and what do I need to do? So it's hard to really say like what that is, but I'm going to guess, and this is not medical advice again, that this is that you're eating probably too much protein in one meal, and it's causing your insulin to spike. So when your insulin spikes, you're going to feel real tired. You're going to feel exhausted. So you're probably eating too much protein in that meal, because that's what happened to me when I would eat, like a lot in one meal, too much food in one meal as well. And so there's this other thing in the carnivore keto community to do only one meal a day or 2 meals a day. And I did 2 meals a day for a long time, but I would still get that tired thing. So now going to 3 meals a day is awesome. I don't get tired. I still have steady energy throughout the day, because I'm not fasting. Here's another good question. Is there a good way to measure your electrolyte levels, magnesium? Okay, so the hard thing, you can get a metabolic panel from your doctor, but the hard thing about this, and I actually have been like doing a lot of research on this because I wanted to know as well, is that those minerals are not inside the cell. So a lot of the time it's not measuring what's inside the cell. It's just measuring what's in the bloodstream. So a lot of times it's not going to show up on an actual blood test directly to when you test those minerals until you're like severely dehydrated in the hospital. So the best way to measure those things, I think, is to go by your symptoms. I think the kidney check, just knowing that GFR number. If your GFR number is low or your blood urea nitrogen is high, that usually means too much protein. But GFR being low is usually like a chronic dehydration. Again, not medical advice, you guys, but it's really hard to know unless you're having symptoms. So some other symptoms would be like leg cramps, eye twitching, face twitching, muscle twitching, heavy legs, feeling exhausted. Those types of things are how you know that you have an electrolyte imbalance, which you have to really pay attention to on carnivore and keto. So I hope that helps. Let me highlight some of these. Trusting a higher fat approach has helped me release the extra weight, so you'll get there as your body heals. So yes, so Becky is right on track. She's 100% right. Like it takes time. For some people, it could be a year. Some people, have you guys seen Stephanie Buttermore? People hate when I talk about her. I really like her. She didn't do carnivore. She didn't do keto, but she was this extreme, bodybuilder, tiny, underweight, not getting a period, cold and starving all the time. And she just did this kind of like all-in challenge where she just allowed herself to eat as much as she wanted. She was eating 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day, which I don't recommend. But she gained weight, to get her period back, to start not being freezing cold all the time, which that's a lot of times that's thyroid. And now her weight is like more in a manageable place, but she did go up for a while. So not everyone has to do that. I have had to do that a little bit. And I'm just learning to trust the process and be okay with that. Let's see. That happens to me when I have a histamine response, super tired and fatigued. Yeah. And so that can also, the super tired and fatigue can also be histamine response. So a lot of us come to carnivore to try to heal some of those, histamine issues. And if we don't rotate our meats, we always eat the same thing, or we eat a lot of ground meats, we can start having histamine responses. Or dairy. Dairy is a huge culprit for histamine. So I'm totally dairy free, coffee free. I know that's not popular, but it has made a big difference for me with my hydration, my ability to heal my gut and heal my histamine issues. Yes, Becky. Yeah. Too much protein reminds me of those stuffed after Thanksgiving meals, sleepy. Yeah. I could get that if I sit down and eat a ribeye that's like a pound. I will want to take a nap afterwards. Like seriously. And then someone says, before high fat carnivore, my cycles was not regular. Now is normal, but only lasts for 3 days. Is this normal? So, that again, I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor giving medical advice, but my understanding is cycles should be between like 3 and 5 days. You want to go back to what your cycles were when you first start having them. If you were big caveat, if you're hormonally healthy before. So my cycles were 5 days since I first started getting them when I was like 13, 5 days long, 5 days long. Get pregnant with my daughter, 12 years ago, obviously no cycle. Then I get it back after she's born, got the Mirena IUD, which I don't recommend. That totally wrecked me for a little bit. Got that taken out because I got cystic acne all over my chin, and it caused hormonal disruption. But then finally, when I detoxed from that darn thing, they went back to 5 days. My cycles, when I got into my mid 30s, all of a sudden went to 7 days and became very painful. And I just would go to my doctor, and then she would say, that's normal. That's okay. Like, you're getting older. And I'm like, but I'm like 36. Are you sure that that's what that means, is that I'm getting older? Right. And, oh yeah, no, it's fine. But it was horrifically painful. Right. So I've had to do a lot of work around this. And now at 41, after going high fat carnivore, giving it 6 months, then it's like, now they're 5 days again, and now they're not super painful. So I'm back to where I was at age like 34 before things went to hell, and, but that has taken me gaining some weight, which I did not want to do. Right. And being patient, not doing any fasting, not looking for quick fixes, and getting what I need, doing organ meats. That's another thing, is doing those organ meats. I do liver not a lot, because you don't want to do a ton of beef liver, but I do liver very regularly, as well as thymus. Let's see some of these other questions. Yeah, D says, I have a problem with the mouthfeel of fat, struggling. So there's so many different types of fat, though, that you can try. You can try beef fat. You can try bison fat. You can try suet. You can do rendered fat, bacon fat. Some people are saying they love duck fat, pork fat. So just keep trying one until you find one that you like. And for me, fat just tastes like butter. Like, I could just eat it. I could eat it all day. I have suet in my fridge right now that I'm like, restrain yourself. You're not hungry, because it just tastes so good. Thank you guys for saying that so this is so sweet. Becky, you're the best. I just want to say thank you for taking your time to share experience. And I appreciate you too. Big virtual hug back to you, Becky. I appreciate that. Yeah. And Michelle says, Sarah keeps it real and truly appreciate real talk. Yeah. Thank you. I'm doing my best. 'Cause like, what's the point of me doing this, way of eating or whatever, and saying, this is great, everyone should do it, I'm healed, like, okay, cool. But if that's not really the truth, if that's not really what's going on, then why am I wasting everybody's time? Like, that's just dumb, right? But people do it. I don't understand why, but it happens a lot, unfortunately. So someone says, IUD is bad, birth control, what do you recommend? You got to find what works for you. I track. So I have another app here that I didn't mention, because I don't even know if it's that great of an app, but I track my cycles as well as my ovulation. So here's my cycle tracker, right, in my app on my phone. And then here is my ovulation tracker. So if I'm ovulating, my husband's in quarantine. Like, no. You're in quarantine, sorry. That's my birth control, is the tracking, right? And it's, we got to be careful around ovulation time, because there's a little margin of error there. But if you see on this thing, it gives you like a happy face, the blank face, right? Blank face has been out of quarantine. Happy face, or really excited happy face, quarantine. So that's my birth control, you guys, because all the I tried to do hormonal birth control pills. No, I was nauseous all the time. Like, after I had my daughter, I could no longer tolerate birth control. After I did the IUD and then had my daughter, I could no longer tolerate the pill anymore. And so, I mean, I think it was a blessing in disguise, because now I see how screwed up birth control makes your hormones. I'm glad that I haven't taken any type of birth control in like almost 10 years. I'm really glad on that. So Michelle wants to know thoughts on PUFAs and pork. So I just did a YouTube live with Dr. Ken Berry on Monday, and we talked all about it, because I have listened to some of the stuff that Saladino says, and I'm like, wow, that kind of makes sense. But then I kind of analyze what he's saying, and it's based on a rat study, and then him talking about fatty acid chains and like different molecules. And I'm like, it's theory that he's saying. And if you look at Okinawa, this is a conversation I had with Stephanie, because I was like, what do you think about this? And she was like, y'all know Steph, y'all know she like loses her mind. She's like, oh, that's bull, bleh, like lost her mind. Like, that's a bunch of crap. People in Japan, Okinawa, those countries, the people that live the longest, their main staple is pork. Right? They have some of the lowest body weight, they're healthy, and their main staple is pork. So this PUFAs and pork thing, no. Now, do I think that, people are going to have reaction and maybe problems and react to bacon that you buy in a pack from a store? Yeah, I do. I think that those are going to be a problem for some people, but I don't think that pork belly, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat some chicken too if I want it. Now, I don't eat chicken very often, but I love my chicken wings. I will eat chicken wings, but I'm not going to stop eating chicken and pork. I will still make ruminant animals. So my lamb, my beef, those are going to be my main staples, and my fats, my raw beef suet. Yeah, you guys are saying you're hooked on the raw beef suet. It's so good. You got to find a good source. The source is important. But I'm still going to be eating that stuff. And if I want to have some pork belly, I'm going to have it. But yeah, I think that the prepackaged bacon could be an issue for some people, as well as, if you're eating nothing but chicken breast, that's, and that's where your glucose monitor could come into play, is watching your blood sugar trends when you do have something like chicken and like pork. So that's my thought on the PUFAs. So you guys are the sweetest people ever. I love you so much. Like, some of these comments, you are my go-to channel. Thank you so, so much. Yeah, you guys are the best. You need to talk to some of the other people that are leaving comments on my channel. There's some crazy people out there. People are really stressed out right now. Like, stress is a really big epidemic that I'm seeing with people right now. And I did a screenshot of a couple of things that resonated with me this morning. I'm going to see if there's any more questions, but if not, I'm going to show you these couple of screenshots here before I sign off. If I could find my camera app. Just some stuff that resonated with me this morning. This one, from 40 Years of Zen, and it says, I don't know if you guys can read this, out of control emotions can make smart people stupid. This is stress right now. This is what it's doing to people. I mean, you notice people online right now are super triggered. People everywhere are super triggered. You go to the grocery store, you walk by somebody, they jump 10 feet away from you, like I have an autistic daughter, you guys know that. And like, she doesn't have awareness, body awareness, any of this stuff at all. And she'll kind of like flail near people and they will like freak out. And so I'm just like, wow, we have gotten in, this is why I'm not wearing this right now. It's because my stress is a little higher. It's getting better. And then this one from Doc Amen. If you guys don't follow Doc Amen, I don't know if you can read that. Saw your text come through. Just waiting until I have enough serotonin to reply. I thought that was hilarious. So I talk a lot about on this channel, about food and quality of meat and quality of, what we put in our bodies and all that. But I don't know if I talk about the yogi part as much, the stress management part as much. I think it's just absolutely so vital for us to manage our stress, to if you can do some gentle yoga at home or meditate, do something to take your stress down. I do every night. I think I'll close with this if I don't see any more questions. I do alternate nostril breathing every single night to fall asleep. And that helps me so much. Half the time I fall asleep with like one hand like that. I'm like, oh God, okay, I'm so relaxed. But I still have to do things to get my my body to just calm down right now, because a lot of us in society are so stressed out. Everything's so uncertain. So, all right, I know this is like impromptu. I'm going to show you guys alternate nostril breathing really quickly in case you want to do a little calm down. So you'll plug your right, you just want to use one hand. You'll plug your right nostril, inhale through left. Plug your left nostril, exhale right. Inhale right. Plug right, exhale left. Inhale left. Plug left, exhale right. Inhale. Plug, switch, exhale. So you just do that in a cycle. So it's inhale, plug, switch, exhale. Inhale, plug, switch, exhale. And you can do that. I do that sometimes 5 minutes before I pass out, 10 minutes. But it helps to rebalance your nervous system. It helps to steady your heart rate. So a lot of times when we're very stressed out, our heart rate is pumping. We've got cortisol pumping through our body. As I've mentioned several times on the live stream, your cortisol levels are going to wear and tear on your hormones, going to wear and tear on your T3, your body's ability to run your metabolism efficiently. So I hope that was helpful. Maybe I'll do more things like that. As I mentioned, Stephanie and I are working on doing a challenge for you guys in August. And Becky, I am going to get in touch with you about helping us with the challenge. But we're going to be doing a challenge where it's like accountability / holistic overall healing. So not a quick fix, right? But a way to help you guys make changes for your body in this 30-day challenge of stuff that is going to be lasting, right? So you can go on any diet. We can see before and after pictures from Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers, and like, I don't care who, where, what. And you can lose weight, right? But how does that affect your long-term health? So that's what our challenge is going to be focused on. It's going to start in August, and we're going to announce it very soon. Stephanie wants it to be tight. She wants it to be like the bomb. So we're really making sure we do a good job putting it together before we put it out to you guys. But I can go and do like a little soft announcement today here at the end of the live stream. Okay, cool. Thank you, Becky. That's what we're going to do is we want people to start being able to do things for themselves where they make long-term change that's effective. So yes. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'll be back next week with another live stream, and I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, hey, Lennox. Awesome. I'm glad you came on. Thank you for watching. All right. Bye, guys.